Hola, hello, konnichiwa, tudubem, como estas? What it do? Welcome to another episode of the J-Boy Sports Podcast, but this is not your normal episode. This is going to be a series of episodes, and what we will let this be known as is the Stephen A. Smith versus LeBron James incident. Because I was just going to make one video, but I got to tell you guys, it would be pretty long, and maybe you don't have time for all that, and I figured it'd be better to break it up. And I'm a few days late on all this, maybe a couple weeks, but I'm glad I was, because more and more things are coming out every single day. So we're going to call this the Stephen A. Smith versus LeBron James incident, and we're going to label this one Part 1. This is deeper than rap. Okay, this is deeper than rap. This is on some Kendrick Lamar, Drake type stuff, potentially. Of two people that have, I guess, just had enough of each other. And behind the scenes, I really didn't realize that there was this much going on. Because, to my knowledge, Stephen A. Smith normally has always been a supporter of LeBron James from very early on. We all know Skip Bayless has had his words about LeBron James, and Stephen A. was always there to be like, well, hold on, Skip. You know, he ain't Shannon Sharp, but, you know, he's tried to support LeBron James in his own way, in my opinion. Now, it's just hit the fan at this point. It's literally on some deeper than rap, Kendrick Lamar, Drake, A minor level stuff, right? I say A minor because, yeah, Kendrick got so tired that he took it there. Right? And this could be huge. And honestly, I know we may feel like, oh, it is what it is. It's already done. But I don't know about that. You know, I don't know about that. This could potentially be pretty big. Stephen A. Smith ain't going nowhere. LeBron picked a bad time to go at Stephen A. Smith because the man just got $100 million. If you would have did it earlier, he would have had to move differently because he didn't get the bag. Now that Stephen A. Smith got the bag, it was hard to shut him up before. It's going to be really hard to shut him up now. Basically impossible, even for a billionaire. Once you're a 100 millionaire, who cares? You don't even care about a billionaire no more. You made it at that point. So let's jump right into this video. The first thing I want to do, look at this graphic of LeBron James and Stephen A. Smith. And what you're going to see here to start with, you're going to see Stephen A. Smith pretty much looks like he's minding his own business. Then LeBron walks up on him, and it looks like somebody just caught it. So let's take a quick look at this. So he walks up on him. He's saying some things here. Looks like he's mad.
I love you, man.
Okay. So we'll stop there. All right. So, based on what we see here, obviously LeBron James is angry. He's upset. He's not happy. Okay, he's not happy. And the initial reports is that he was upset because, you know, at first we didn't really understand why, but people read the lips and figured it had something to do with keeping my son's name out your mouth. And they likened it to the Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, Chris Rock incident. That's a whole nother story, a whole nother topic for another day that I'm probably never going to discuss in detail on this channel because that's outside of sports. But we all know about that incident. That was crazy. We never looked at Will Smith the same way again. At least I didn't. Even my grandfather, you know, kind of was very upset with that. So now what I'd like to do, we see the initial. We see what kicked all this off. We see what started it all. Now, let's listen to what Stephen A. Smith had to say. I believe it was basically the next day about this incident. We're going to stop in between, comment a little bit, but let's see what he had to say.
That was LeBron James coming up to me, unexpectedly, I might add, to confront me about making sure that I mind what I say about his son. Can't repeat the words because they ain't suited for FCC airwaves. That's what he was doing. I thought long and hard about this over the last few hours because I had no intentions, Molly, of talking about this at all.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because it was a one-on-one, I wouldn't say a conversation, but it was a one-on-one confrontation.
And so, just stopping it for a second, listen to the words that he already used. He said, it was not a conversation, it was a confrontation. It's really important to listen to the words. So essentially what he's saying is, it really wasn't a situation where LeBron James was coming to talk to him, right? To have a conversation with him. It was more of a confrontation. Like, confrontation can be added with words like ultimatum, potentially could even be a warning, like a warning shot, so to speak. But it's not the same thing as a conversation. And Stephen A. Smith is not stupid. He used that phrasing specifically on purpose. So let's continue from here.
But then I wake up and everybody from ESPN and my agent and everybody else were sending me that this thing had gone viral. And so ultimately it was unavoidable, and that is why I have to discuss it now. That wasn't a basketball player confronting me. That was a parent. That was a father. And I can't sit here and be angry or feel slighted by LeBron James in any way in that regard.
And so we're just going to stop again really quickly. He mentions that as a father, he understands where LeBron James is coming from. Again, pay very much attention to the words that he's using. As a father, he understands where LeBron James is coming from. Stephen A. Smith is the type of person that I'm not a big fan of his, but I have to admit, the man is smart. He's very smart. He knows how to speak. He's very good with his words. And if you haven't heard, they've even talked about him being in politics. And it's not a coincidence. The man can talk out of both sides of his face. And he knows exactly what he's saying. So if you pay attention to what he just said, he said, as a father, I can understand where LeBron James is coming from. And to that extent, so can I. I'm a father. When you have a son or a daughter or anybody like that, I don't know why I said anybody like that, but you understand what it's like to have a child and be responsible for that child and want to protect that child and take care of that child. As a father or a mother, you can understand where that is coming from. Let's continue.
By all accounts, he's obviously a wonderful family man and a wonderful father who cares very, very deeply about his son. And based on some of the comments that he had heard, or shall I say, I think he thought he heard, he clearly took exception to some of the things that he heard me say, and he confronted me about it. For the record, his agent and friend, Rich Paul, has my number. Maverick Carter, who works under him, has my number. LeBron James knows how to get in contact with me if he wanted to. He never called, because had he called and wanted to talk to me, I would have accepted that call. Had he wanted to see me, I would have flown out and I would have seen him and I would have had a conversation man to man. But that is not what he elected to do. Instead, he elected to confront me while I was sitting courtside. Ari Emanuel, the head of William Morris Endeavor, one of the agencies that represents me, along with Larry David, was sitting courtside. I was with them for the game. And he walked right up to me and he said what he had to say. And apparently he feels like I was slighting his son.
So in this segment right here, he's basically saying that LeBron James has a way to get his number and that he could have called him at any time to have this conversation in private. Now, to speak on this to begin with, since we're already stopping here, I don't know if it's true or not that LeBron James did try to contact him. I have heard that they said LeBron did try to contact him and he didn't get in touch with him. I don't know if that part is true. But I will say on both sides here, as a man, I personally believe you should be doing things in private, right? You could do this in private, in my opinion. And there's some people that feel like if it's your kid, it's your kid. You go out, you do what you got to do. Listen, man, I'm not 22 years old anymore, right? LeBron is older than me. Stephen A. Smith is much older than me and LeBron. There's a way that you handle certain things, in my opinion, once you get to a certain level of understanding. There's no need to do this. And then especially, I'm just going to come out and say it. As two black men, did we not already see Will Smith fall apart and slap the taste out of Chris Rock's mouth? Do we need another incident between a billionaire player and a 100 millionaire and Stephen A. Smith? Is this all people will see us as? So that's another reason I didn't like this. And I think you get more out of the conversation behind closed doors. And I haven't seen that Stephen A. Smith, when it comes to LeBron James, because what I am going to say, Stephen A. Smith is definitely a clout chaser. And because he's always chasing clout, I mean, Stephen A. only sucks up to people with money and power. Everybody else he doesn't care about. I mean, we've seen that with Kwame Brown. We've seen him attack Russ. We've seen him attack a bunch of other people. But truth be told, he's been nice to Bronny James. He has not gone off on Bronny James at all that I've seen. And later in this series, we are going to take a listen to what he did say about LeBron and Bronny. But mainly it's about LeBron. It wasn't really about Bronny. And he really didn't say anything that bad, in my opinion. But we'll listen and we'll go through that eventually. But Stephen A. Smith is a clout chaser, man. He talks out of both sides of his mouth. In my opinion, Stephen A. Smith is a fraud. I don't trust him, to be honest with you. However, LeBron lies a lot too. And he also, in my opinion, is untrustworthy. So you have two untrustworthy people, you know, doing shady things to each other. But somebody looks more shady than the other one in this situation. So I just wanted to make that point as of right now, though. And let's move on.
Now let me tell you what I feel. What I would have said if we were in a different environment, because I was not going to engage in a confrontation at that particular moment in that setting. But if we had had that conversation, I would have said to LeBron James, I never would speak negatively about your son. I was talking about you, meaning you, LeBron James. I have nothing but the best wishes for Bronny James. I wish him nothing but the best. I hope that he flourishes into an NBA star. Usually in other sports, we see all-stars, and on occasion, we'll see their children become stars as well. That doesn't really happen with the NBA. I sincerely hope he's the exception. By all accounts, he's a wonderful kid. And I don't know anybody who roots against him, and it certainly isn't me. But in the same breath, at the time that we were talking about him, he was percolating to such a degree that the Bronny James stories had gone viral. And so we had to talk about it. And when I said the things that I said, I wasn't talking about Bronny James because my attitude is he's a rookie. It's going to take some time for him to get himself together. He'll be just fine, especially with J.J. Redick and the staff coaching him.
And so here, like I said, Stephen A. Smith is a clout chaser. He's kissing a lot of butt right here, in my opinion. I would never go at Bronny and blah, blah, blah. Bro, he went at Kwame Brown mad hard. He went at Russell Westbrook mad hard. I remember Raso Nesterovic. He went at him really hard. I can't think of some of the other people off the top of my head at this exact moment, but he buried these people. Why? Because their dad was not LeBron James. That's why. So again, Stephen A. Smith is a fraud. I don't want y'all to get it twisted. And I'm gonna try to take this from so many different angles to explain exactly where I land on all of this. But don't ever get it twisted within anything I say. Stephen A. is a fraud because he should be going at Bronny James as a basketball player. And in my opinion, this is my personal opinion. Again, don't be mad at me because of my personal opinion about somebody that is never going to put money in your pocket or does not care about you. Because LeBron and Bronny do not care about you. Don't get it twisted. They've never said anything about loving fans that I've seen and actually meant it. And I don't have a problem with Bronny, but I'm just going to say right off the back, right here, right now, I don't think he's that good. Is he better than dudes at LA Fitness? Probably. I guess I could say yes to that. Most guys at LA Fitness, yeah, definitely. However, in my opinion, he is in the league because of his daddy. His daddy is why he's in the league. All this crap Stephen A. Smith is talking about developing and this, that, and the other. Who else got those opportunities to develop? Name me the person that has had this much love and nobody said anything about it in the entire league. It's because everybody's clout chasing. It's a bunch of butt kissers of LeBron James. Bronny was only drafted because of his daddy. He was drafted to the Lakers because of his daddy. He got out there on the floor. He doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. He does not actually belong. They put him in the G League. They got rid of people like this kid, Quincy Miller. I think that's his name. I know his first name's Quincy. I think the last name is Miller. He was balling. If you watch the Lakers Summer League team like I did because I'm a Lakers fan, this dude Quincy could have contributed right away. He's nice. So they take him down to the D League. He's down there with G League, He's down there with Bronny. And then they release him because he's too nice. That's the point. So Mafia dad LeBron made sure that him and JJ Redick colluded, got this kid kicked off the team, this Quincy Miller kid, and he's actually signed by Steph Curry. I don't know what's happening with him right now, but I think he's signed with Steph Curry on the shoe deal. He says Steph was his favorite player of all time. He's gone. And now Bronny's doing better, but realistically, if you watch a game or two, they're force feeding him the ball, man. None of this is it's all manufactured. So right now, this whole thing, even though we're talking about Stephen A. Smith's side right now, this is a clown show, man. There's a bunch of frauds. They're all frauds. So he didn't have this much restraint when he was talking about Westbrook, when Westbrook was on the Lakers, saying all the bad things he was saying about him. Right? But they want to have all this restraint in this situation when LeBron's running up in your face. And this is his initial response. This, like, I don't know what this is. Like, it's like he's trying to hold some power by saying, oh, I would have did it differently. Fine, man. And I'm not saying he should have fought him either, but I'm saying, like, nobody's getting in my face like that. I don't care who you are. And you just get to walk away like normally. Like, I'm going to make sure I put my 2 cents in, too, and tell you to go sit yourself down somewhere. And I'm going to make sure the cameras see that. And then watch you go sit down. There's not going to be no sunning going on when it comes to me. I know that much. So that's just, that's just how I see it. So let's see what he has to say. Hopefully this will be close to the end, but we'll see.
I was talking about the position that he was put in by his dad. Because LeBron James has been on the record, and he has said, and I'll read the quote here. There was a quote that he gave in February of 2024. The work and results will ultimately do talking, no matter what the size. If y'all don't know, he doesn't care what mock drafts say. He just works, earned, not given, etc., etc. But he also had said that his son could play on the Lakers right now, and he was better than half the dudes in the NBA. In the aftermath of all of that, he instructed everybody before the draft that y'all want me, draft Bronny. Wherever Bronny is at, that's where I'll be. I'll do whatever it takes to play with my son for a year. It's not about the money at that point. My point months ago was that because of who you are, one of the top 2 players in the history of basketball, in my estimation, there's an immense amount of pressure that comes with that for his son. And when he talked like that, and what have you, anything that goes awry as it pertains to his son, there's going to be a microscopic eye, even more intensified, on Bronny James because of his dad. And that's when I was talking about, come on, man, this is the situation that you're putting him in. That's where I was coming from.
And so, again, he mentioned that LeBron James had put out this tweet saying that he could be as good as the players in the league right now. He could beat players in the league right now. And obviously that was 100% false. We've seen Bronny play. He doesn't look like he belongs at all. He has looked terrible pretty much every single time he's played an NBA game. Man, I saw him the other night. He's airballing stuff. When JJ Redick put him in against the Sixers, and Maxey was just dropping them left and right. People literally got mad at JJ Redick because they were like, why would you put him in that situation? What? My ninja, what? Listen, man. What do you mean, why did you put him in that situation? He's in the NBA. He's in the NBA. What do you think? Bro, listen, in any league you're in, when you're on the bench and you're trying to get a spot and you're hungry and you want it, you want the coach to put you in. The coach says, I want you to go guard that guy. You say, got him, coach. You just want to get in and get on the floor. And then you got to prove yourself. What type of weak stuff is that? What type of weak stuff is oh, well, that wasn't right when you put Bronny in on Maxey because, you know, Maxey's elite and Bronny's still learning. And also, listen to what these people are saying. He's still learning? Is he 2 years old? What the heck is going on around here, man? And again, I don't have no overall issue with Bronny. I'm just not going to let you play games in my face. Don't nobody play games in my face and I keep my mouth shut. That's never happened to me before, and it will never happen to me ever. I played sports, man. All of us played sports. It doesn't matter what level you play sports on. If you're a warrior, you're a warrior. I don't care if you play basketball at LA Fitness, at the park. If you're in a church league, I don't care where you're playing basketball. You could tell the difference between a dog and a softie. And a dog is ready to bark and bite at any given time. You don't need a lot to get ready as a dog. What type of excuses are we talking about here, man? Listen, Kobe Bryant is my favorite basketball player. And I know I mentioned that a lot on this channel, but I'm just keeping it. That's how I see basketball. I see it from a Mamba mentality lens. Anything less than that to me, I don't want it. If you've listened to my PK Subban video on here, he said the same thing. I don't respect anything else. You telling me, oh, he wasn't ready, and I don't want to hear that. You get on the floor, you better play. That's weak. Grown men making excuses for other grown men. And Bronny is grown. And that's kind of why Bronny's in this mess in the first place, is because everybody's sitting around making excuses. Put his feet to the fire. And like I said, I don't want Bronny to do terrible, but hey, he's a regular player like everybody else. We got to stop idolizing people, man. I don't give a dang about LeBron James being his dad. He's an NBA player right now. He's his own NBA player. Put him out there and let's see what he got. And if he can't make it, then he can't make it. Just like everybody else. Why is he different? Oh yeah, because people are clout chasers. That's why. Idolizers. Idol worshipers. I won't be worshiping any men. I won't be doing that. So it's not personal with Bronny James, but keep it real. I'm not going to lie. Why do I care? So Stephen A. Again, this guy's a fraud. You understand? He says some things that are true. Talking about seeing it from a father's perspective and, you know. But he barely touched on the fact that LeBron put his son in this position. He drafted him to the Lakers. Don't make no mistakes about it. That's LeBron. If he didn't do that, his son probably wouldn't have been in the league. And if you're saying like, oh, another team might have drafted him, maybe. But is it because they like Bronny, or is it because they're trying to get his daddy, who is still very much elite at an older age? It ain't because of Bronny, it's because of daddy. Again, everything is through daddy. We got to stop acting like it's not through daddy. It's through daddy. Okay? It's through daddy. So, Stephen A. Smith, again, he's a fraud, but let's continue.
I could be a bit more outspoken about it, but to be quite honest with you, to be in that moment, to have LeBron look at me the way that he did, for me to be a father of two daughters, for me to know what fathers, how much love fathers have for their children, and to hear what he had to say, it was all about his son. It was almost as if he was saying, you know, you and I, because he and I don't necessarily vibe. It's high and by. We keep it moving. Neither of us lose sleep over it. And it's been that way for years. But it was like he was saying, keep that between me and you.
And so this is another interesting part, because here, and this is very important, so keep this in mind, because towards the end of this little mini series we got going on here with this Stephen A. Smith versus LeBron thing, that line is going to be very important, that he and LeBron do not get along. It's high and by. But it also sounds like Stephen A. Smith here really feels like it's about Bronny. And that's all indications. That's what LeBron is saying. Basically, if you read his lips, he said, keep my son's name, keep my son out of it, or something like that. He said, keep my son out of the shizzle, for lack of a better word to fill in there. So that's interesting, because I did not know that Stephen A. Smith and LeBron do not have a good relationship. And the reason I didn't know that is because, again, in my opinion, he's always praising LeBron. Now, he said some things recently that are a little bit more risky, but normally it was kissing butt, chasing clout, per usual. We're going to split it up a little bit towards the end here, because this is going much longer than I expected. This is Stephen A. Smith is doing a lot of talking, so I'm just going to keep it to the main things here so we can try and wrap up this episode 1 of the LeBron and Stephen A. Smith incident.
I don't have any animosity or animus towards LeBron James for this. Nothing like that. I don't think he cares, but neither do I. I'm just stating fact. None of that exists. If I was in his position, I can't definitively say I would not have done the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming him one bit. I get it. I understand it. And there's a part of me that aches and hurts because of it.
Captain America. Ain't no way, man. Ain't no way, boy. Ain't no way, boy. Ain't no way. Aches and hurts. I understand as a father. Cut it out, man. No. No, man. No. He did all this to you in front of people. Got demonstrative. Tried to make a fool out of you in public. Tried to make you potentially a scapegoat or an example of what he's going to do to other people moving forward. Nah, man. Nah. This is what I'm talking about. Stephen A. Smith is still a fraud. Don't get it twisted. Some truth, some fraudulence. The truth is, as a father, maybe you get it a little bit. Fine. But you feeling bad and aching for him when he tried to play you in front of millions of people? Get the heck out of here, Stephen A. Cut it out. You're a man with pride, man. Ain't no way you doing that much aching, my brother. Ain't no way. Ain't no way, boy. Ain't no way. So that's, like I said, half fraudulent, half not. And LeBron James, I'm going to say something here too, man. Like, Stephen A. Smith is doing all this aching. But again, Skip Bayless has been on LeBron James's butt cheeks since the beginning of time. Old crusty Skippy peanut butter has been all over LeBron James' butt cheeks. Pause. No bad boy. All right? All right? No bad boy. He's been on him. And I don't even hear LeBron James ever say anything about Skip Bayless. I've never heard him say anything about Skip Bayless. I've never heard him tweet back at Skip Bayless. But he sure found a way to get back at Stephen A. Smith. And again, I'm not a big person when it comes to race. I promise you I'm not, guys. But I'm just going to keep it real. To me, it's easier for him to attack the guy that looks like him than the guy that doesn't. Why is that? I don't know. But to be honest with you, it's not just a black thing or a white thing. I do tend to see that in all races. For some reason, people do seem to go harder at their own than others. There's like a safety latch, right? There's a safety latch. Even in politics, like two people that are the same color will bash the heck out of each other. But if you insert a person of color or, somebody that something you could say to them could be too harsh and be deemed as racist, they'll back down a little bit. So it's not just LeBron. But it is interesting how somebody that supposedly is for the people and for people that look like him, he's such a standard that he goes and he only attacks the guy that looks like him. It's very interesting. Let's cut up a little bit more here.
But what you do on a public platform for public consumption, that's what I cover. That's what I do for a living. And if you're in the NBA, that applies to you. I don't want enemies. I live a very good life. I like to make people laugh and smile and have a good time and all of that other stuff. But I also get paid to call it like I see it. And what I said at the time, I stand by what I said. It wasn't even any reporting. The facts were out there. And what I was saying about LeBron is fact-based because of what he said and the things that he said leading up to his son getting drafted and ultimately being in the NBA on the same team as him, as opposed to being a Boston Celtic or a Golden State Warrior. Mm-hmm. There is no way around that. And when you are born and raised as a journalist, not born and raised, but when you're raised as a journalist professionally, you don't want enemies, but you ain't paid to make friends. Mm-hmm. You got to call it like you see it. And that's what I did.
So I'm not going to lie. I actually, that last line was kind of tight. I can't even front on my man. He's good with words, man. You have to give Stephen A. Smith credit. I do believe he's very smart. He's an excellent speaker. I got to give him credit on that because what he said there is essentially, I don't want to make enemies, but I'm also not paid to make friends. And that's facts if you're a real journalist. That is facts. And he said that I didn't say anything that's not for public consumption. He's right about that as well. I can't say he's a fraud for that. I can't say he's a fraud for that. But again, half of the things that he says are a little bit fraudulent. Half of them are not. He talks out of both sides of his face. Therefore, a lot of the stuff that he said in this specific little snippet here is correct. He didn't lie. But he still held out a little bit of truth because, yes, everything he said is true. It is for public consumption. LeBron James has said those things himself, but you never really went in on LeBron James for those things until now. You're touching it slightly because you don't want to rub people the wrong way, and you know LeBron still has clout. You're not 100% honest. The 100% honesty is that LeBron James told all of us that his son was better than a lot of players in the NBA right now. And when you say something like that, that means he's elite. NBA players are elite. Even the worst one is a lot better than most of the people on the streets. And definitely a lot taller. Right? But that's what LeBron James said. And then we get to see the product, and what do you know? He lied. But nobody really calls him out on the lie. So Stephen A. Smith, he touches it a little bit, but then doesn't go full on with it. Because if he went full on with it, he would have been saying, like, listen, Bronny's not the guy that y'all saw, that you told me he was. I don't see it. He's still lying. You understand? Mixing truth with lies. That's what they do.
So again, in closing, I just want to say, I'm not upset. I don't care. I wish that it wasn't in that kind of atmosphere. I wish it was in a private setting.
Yep.
I don't blame LeBron James for being upset. I don't blame him for being angry. I don't blame him for wanting to confront me because that wasn't a superstar basketball player that confronted me. He played like one again last night, which just reminds you of his focus and his greatness.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a basketball player that approached me last night. That was a daddy.
And so that's the end of this. And so he takes kind of a high road here. Doesn't really take too many shots at LeBron James. Overemphasizes how he loves Bronny and he thinks that Bronny will be good someday, even though he doesn't really believe that. If you were bashing Kwame Brown and Russell Westbrook and all these other people who were contributing players and didn't need their daddy to make it to the league, then there's no way that you believe Bronny's going to be this great talent. And the only reason that Stephen A. Smith, again, is not destroying Bronny, like literally ripping him a new one, is because of the clout that he's chasing. And he even if he and LeBron don't get along, which I did not know, he still understands the power that LeBron James has, as we all do. So he doesn't really want to go all the way with that. And then him saying, like, I don't blame him and I'm not mad at him. As you're going to see as we continue through this series, that's not necessarily true. So he's kind of lying. These people they just lie, man. They lie. They don't always tell you the truth. They come at things from different angles. But you know what? He could be selling this, because I know he probably made a couple $1 million just off this whole thing. And I'm not saying he wanted it to happen, but they say don't waste a good, never waste a disaster, right? Is that what they say? Is some type of expression like that. So people are going to take advantage of the situations they find themselves in. And I do think, I don't know if Stephen A is milking it with this one, with his response on ESPN, so that he could have a different response on his channel and he can have a different response in Gil's Arena. Either way, we're going to get to those things in later episodes. But this is the first one. I just wanted to break down what he said initially. So there's some gems initially. Some things you need to keep in mind are that he is talking about LeBron James as a father. From that standpoint, I think we all can understand that. We all see that. If you're a father, I'm a father. I do get that aspect of it. How LeBron handled it, I don't think I would handle it that way, because it just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good because, quite frankly, the color of my skin, number one, and we've already seen this with Chris Rock and Will Smith. It also doesn't look good because you're in the middle of a basketball game. If you're LeBron James, man, you got a basketball game to win, right? I wouldn't do that. Again, my guy is Kobe. I remember watching, there's a video of Kobe Bryant playing basketball. He's in Staples Center. All the stars are always around him. There's beautiful women. There's one where Halle Berry's like just trying to get his attention so badly, looking at him, and he's focused. There's another one where Chris Rock is trying to tell him jokes. He's sitting right next to him, and he's not flinching. To me, that's the mentality that I'd like to see in my basketball players. But I'm not going to hold LeBron to that Mamba mentality standard, because, I mean, how many people can be that? You know? But I still would not have broken my concentration in the middle of the game. You could have did this in so many other ways, in my opinion. But I just genuinely think he wanted people to see this. He wanted to make an example out of Stephen A. Smith. He wanted to make him a scapegoat for things. And he did it, and he was successful in that. But the feedback has been a little iffy. It does seem like more people are like, why would he do this? It's unnecessary. A lot of people are coming at him for this. But there are also some people that say, as a dad, I would do it. But I think I said this already, but me, as a grown man, I'm very grown at this point. I don't know if that's the way I would have handled it. I'd rather pull people aside, have a real conversation, because some people like to put on for the camera. You can't ever forget that. Some people dance like hyenas and dolphins at SeaWorld when you allow them to in public. And then they may say something different to you behind closed doors. So you always, that's always a possibility. I've seen that in my life. When you mess with people's egos and do things in public, they act out. But if you pull them to the side, they may consider what you're saying, maybe. You know, so that's the first response here. The next video, part 2, we're going to discuss what he said on his own podcast, as well as what is it that he said that made LeBron James potentially so upset. But you want to keep in mind, the main thing from this video, like I said, is that Stephen A. Smith claims he's not mad. That seems to be a lie. We're going to see that in the next video. But also that they're not friends. They are hi and goodbye at best, which is interesting. So thank you for listening to episode 1 of the Stephen A. Smith versus LeBron James incident. Please like, share, and subscribe. Come back for episode 2, because if you like this one, we got a lot more. We're going to put all the pieces to this puzzle together. I know this is a long video, but stay with me, okay? Stay with me. Thank you very much. Like, share, and subscribe. Much love. I'm still refreshed when you're gone. I can tell that somehow you never get over leaving me.